Hi everyone, join me today as I paint this jar of flowers in watercolor. Supplies for today: I've got my pencil and eraser, I've got round brushes in size 0, 1 and 4, water and my palette of paints, a spray bottle and tissue paper. And then for the additional accents, which are optional, I've got a Pigma Micron black permanent liner pen in size 03, a Uniball Signo white gel pen, and white gouache. I'm going to start with the pencil sketch already on the page. You can find the link to the free downloadable and traceable sketch reference for this if you have a look in the description box below, or if you go to my Patreon channel, Christine McLaren Arts. I'm going to start by spraying my paints to activate them. And then you can really use any colors in your palette. Just have fun, because they are imaginary flowers nonetheless. So I think I'm going to start with the centers, like the little center of this flower here, the center of the petals, and so on. And then I will build the sketch around that. So I think I'll probably mix with some, or work with some yellows and oranges. So this is Hansa Yellow Light and New Gouache that I'm mixing together. But as I said, you don't have to use the colors that I'm using. I encourage you to use anything that's on your palette and go with any color scheme that you like. I'm working wet on dry here. That means that I am mixing my colors up on my palette and that I'm putting them down onto dry paper. I'm not wetting the paper with water first. I think I'm also going to do that sort of color here. This looks like some sort of sunflower type of thing. And maybe I will add a bit, I'll add a bit of Pyrrole Scarlet here to make it more orange. And I'm going to do the center of this flower, that color. Or maybe I'll do the dots up on that top one. And then this one here, maybe I'm going to do a pinkish color on the lines here and maybe purple on the outside. This is Quinacridone Rose that I'm going to use it directly from my palette just because it's so watery in that little space there. I don't think I'd need to water it down any further. Now I want to mix up a green for the stalks. I'm going to start with phthalo blue, and I'm going to add a little bit of quinacridone gold. I think I want it a little bit lighter than that, a little more even. That's going to be a nice color for the stalks. I'm going to do the first layer on the stalks and leaves quite light, because then that will be the color of the veins as well. And then I'm going to do an additional layer in which I do what is called negative painting and do the rest of the leaves a darker color. So I'm just going to water this down and do the entire leaf and stalk in the same lighter green color. Every bit of support that my YouTube videos get help me to grow my channel. And supporting me doesn't have to cost you anything. If you are enjoying this video, please click the like button below. Let me know what you think in the comments, and also let me know the sorts of videos that you would like to see in the future. I would love to hear from you. I'm leaving the center of all of the flowers to dry completely so that when I come with my second color, that they don't mix or blend with each other. think I've gone a little bit into the petal there. I'll see if I can push this leaf behind. So the base layer of my leaves is dry now, and although technically the flowers are dry and I could start painting on them, I'm just going to put a hairdryer over the whole thing because I don't want to put my hand down into the green of the leaves. I'm going to work, maybe I'm going to work from the top down so that I don't run the risk of smudging anything. So I'm going to work on this flower first. Maybe what I'm going to do color-wise is do some pyrrole scarlet, and then to that I'm going to add some quinacridone rose. I just want it a little bit more orange. I'm happy with that. So I'm going to do the outer petals first. I'll come back and do the center. So I'm going to work wet and wet. I'm going to put some water down on the area that I'm going to work in. I'm going to avoid the circles that I did in the first layer. This sketchbook that I'm working in is a Baohong 100% cotton cold pressed sketchbook. I really love the quality of the paper, and 100% cotton paper always takes water and layers much better than a cellulose paper does. And I enjoy keeping my smaller sketches in a single book rather than on loose sheets of paper, because then I don't know what to do with it. Alright, that water layer is down now. It's going to give me the opportunity to blend my color a little bit. So I'm going to pick up that color that I've mixed and drop it in at the bottom, and you'll see how it will blend naturally into the wet on wet. This just means that it's not all going to be the same color. And I'm just going to encourage some blending here. If you are enjoying this tutorial and are gaining value from it, please consider making a small donation to me on my Buy Me a Coffee platform. As you can imagine, these tutorials take many hours of work to put together. I appreciate any and all donations, as they help me to continue building this platform. I've gone a little bit out of the lines here, or the water has overflowed out of the lines. I'm just going to clear that up a little bit. And then whilst it's wet, because the colour does dilute when you work wet and wet, I'm just going to add a bit more down at the bottom here because I can see it's getting lighter. And then I just clean and wipe with my brush so it's not carrying additional water, and then I'm just blending that colour out. I'm happy with that. I'm going to let that dry before I come and do the centre. I think I'm going to use lavender on the outside of this one. It's a colour that I really enjoy having in my palettes. I don't often use it neat without mixing it with something else, but I think it's a lovely colour. And shall I do wet and wet here? Maybe I will. I'm using that technique, so I'm going to put some water down. I'll do it petal by petal. So on the top one here, I'll put some water down first, in that yellow in the center. Maybe I'll work 2 petals at a time. I guess if I wasn't doing the sketch in my sketchbook, it would also double equally well as a greeting card or a Mother's Day card. Alright, I'm going to pick up that lavender, and again I'm going to put it on the inside here and then let it blend outwards. And if you want to paint these petals just one solid colour without grading the colour from dark to light, and that's easier for you, then of course you can do that. So I've cleaned and dabbed off my brush, and I'm just blending this colour out. I will do the same on the next 2, and I'm going to keep an eye on the first 2 that I finished. I think I'm going to go and drop in some more concentrated colour down at the bottom, because it's getting lighter as it dries. So here, whilst it's still damp, I can put some more back in those areas that I've just finished. And then I'm going to assist the blending here. I think this one's dried a little bit. I'm just going to put some more water down. It's a little bit wet. I can see the water pooling, so that's why I'm just picking some up and putting it on the next petal. I can see back here I'm getting a bit of a solid line because I didn't help it blend. So if I just clean and dab off my brush, I can just soften the edge there. As I mentioned earlier, I have launched my Patreon channel. You can join my Patreon for free and have access to all of my YouTube videos and reference sketches, photos and pictures there. You are under no obligation to become a paid Patreon member, but from time to time I will release some paid watercolor classes that you might find of interest. Joining my Patreon will keep you abreast of all of my classes, free and paid. This layer is quite a lot wetter. I can see it, the color really pooling as I put it down. I don't want it to blend too far. I'll just rinse and dab off my brush there and then blend. And I'm also actually lifting a bit of the color as I do this because my brush was quite dry. And now I want to get more concentrated color and drop it in at the base here. Oh, it's still too wet. And then I'm just going to smooth this here. I think this one's dry enough now that I can go and do that centerpiece. I'm just going to take this color that I mixed in a thicker consistency and then do that area. And maybe I'll pick up some burnt sienna, mix it with that color, and just drop it in down here so it's not all the same and it blends a little bit from dark to light. I'll drop that in and then help it to blend. And maybe I'll use that color and just do a bit of stippling here as well, just to give a bit of texture. Now for this one, I'm going to stick with that lavender that I had, but I'm going to add some quinacridone rose to it. It's a beautiful light purple color. What I think I'm going to do, you'll see I haven't done anything to the central part of those petals because I want to come with the white gel pen at the end and do those accents in white. So I'm going to use or paint on the whole petal. But I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to do every second petal because I'm going to use this blending technique and I don't want the paint from one petal to blend into the next one. So I'm going to put water down on every second petal and then use this color on the center. And then dab and dry off my brush and just encourage some blending here. I think I want a bit more color. And I want to finish these petals whilst I've still got this colour on my palette, so I'm just going to dry these first 4 quickly. And then I'll do exactly the same effect on the other 4 petals. I just am looking for my water to be glistening here, but not pooling, so that's why I'm actually lifting some of it. Alright, now I can put the colour down. Then let me blend it to the tip. And then I'm just going to finish off this paint by putting some in wherever I think needs it. Just put a little dot at the beginning or the center of each petal. And then I'll just assist with the blending. Alright, so as I said, this one I wanted to do purple. So I've got Carbazole Violet already on my palette. Let me wet the whole flower first. I'm just going to avoid the pink stripes. And then this is quite a strong and intense color. I'm going to drop it in at the base. And then I'm going to blend it up. This purple can have a tendency to really get very dark and bog down a painting a bit, so that's why I'm being quite conservative with it. I'll just add a spot more down here at the bottom. And then I'm just softening these edges. Right, let's do the petals of the sunflower. I'll come back and do the center. Oh, actually, let me get the center done first. I'm going to do around that yellow with burnt sienna. This sort of work is just so finicky and just requires patience and time. I would say don't hurry it, just take as long as you need. Working around all these small circles without covering them up really takes a lot of patience and time. Now I'm going to work around this one, the center. I think what I will do is I'm going to take a little bit of cobalt blue, and to it I'm going to add a bit, let's take a bit more, a little bit of raw sienna. I just want to stay in the same sort of color area that I'm in for this. So I'm going to take that grayish blue and put it around the center. I'm just going to water that down a bit. Then I'm going to take this thicker consistency and just do it around the outside. And then I'll blend it in. I'll drop some more around the outside. I'm just dabbing my brush to give it more of a stippled look. I'm going to take some of that burnt sienna and mix it with this orange that's on my palette and do some dots on the center of this one. And now for the sunflower, I'm going to make this a little bit yellower than it was. And use that yellow on the petals. I think I'll do a couple, and then I'm going to add some orange in to vary up the color a bit. I just don't want it to be too wet when I put the orange in. Alright, so now I'm going to pick up some of the orange down here and drop it in. And I'll do the same for the remaining petals. And the orange is blending nicely into the yellow all on its own. I don't think I need to do much to assist it there. Alright, now I'm going to do the second layer on really basically the leaves. I don't know if I need to do much more on the stalks, but I said that I would do some negative painting. And by that I mean I'm going to omit where the central vein and the side veins are on each leaf, but paint the rest of the leaf in a slightly darker green. So I'm going back onto my palette into the prepared green that I already have, but using it in a thicker consistency. I'll take this top leaf as an example. So I can see the area where the central vein and the two side veins are. I'm going to paint everywhere but that. It's quite intricate work, and you can see I didn't manage to leave that one out entirely. I think what I'm going to do is change to a smaller brush. So this is a really small size 0 brush. And you just decide if this technique is something that you wish to do. And again, it's going to be something that's just going to take time. So I'm going to go and repeat this whole negative painting process for all of the leaves that are here. I have got a Facebook group that I would love for you to join. Its name is Christine McLaren Art. This is a space where members like you can upload and share pictures of your completed tutorials. I love to see the finished tutorials of all of my followers. So if you complete this tutorial, please post a picture in my Facebook group for me to see. Facebook is a bit confusing, but I also have a Facebook page. This is the place where I share links to my videos. So just to be safe, why not go ahead and like and join both the Facebook page and group. Then you won't miss a thing, and I will be able to see your finished artworks. I have lost my original pencil lines. I really can't see them underneath. So yours may look a little bit different to mine, but the concept is the same. I had erased my pencil lines quite a lot because I wasn't sure at the beginning of this whether I was going to add any ink to my finished sketch or not. But now that I can see that the outer petals of many of my flowers are quite light, and I don't intend on doing a background on this one, I think I am going to add some ink in at the end. I see this one's gone a little bit skew at the top, but anyway. So although this negative painting technique on the leaves is quite a lot of work, I think it really is worth it. I think it really does make the veins of those leaves pop and is quite a feature on the painting. I'm going to work on the vase now, and I've already decided that I'm going to come and do the artwork on the vase after it's dried with white gel pen, so I can work entirely over that area. If you're wanting to do negative painting and paint around it, then you can do that. I have decided, I think I'm going to do the vase, I'm just going to work in this area here. I'm going to work with some cobalt blue, and I'm going to add yellow ochre to it. I'll do the whole of the vase. I'll come and do the back area in shadow after it's dry. So I'll work wet and wet so that I can get a bit of texture to the vase. So I'm just putting water down first. Then I'll take my pigment and I'm going to drop it in from the bottom. And again, I'm just going to stipple it around so that I get a bit of texture to it. But concentrating the color more on the bottom, and maybe a little bit around at the top here because there would be shadow cast by the flowers. I'm going to let that dry, and then I'll come and do the back side of the pot, which will be darker and in shadow. I'm just going to mix up a thicker consistency mix of that shadow color, the yellow ochre and the cobalt blue. I think I'm going to have to do this with the smaller brush. And I'm just going to do that about around the back area of the vase. Maybe even I'm going to have to use the size 0 brush for the small area here. It's looking a bit bitsy. I think I'm just going to do one line around the whole top. better. And then let me just rinse these brushes off. I just want to do a shadow line here using this darker orange color and my size 0 brush. I'll blend it ever so slightly, but it's really not necessary. I'm going to do the black line work first. So I still want to keep this light and whimsical, but I do want to put some definition, particularly on the outside of these petals here. So I'm using a Pigma Micron black liner pen in a size 03. You can use any color and any size that you like. I'm just going to do very light lines. I'm going to hold my pen more than halfway up the shaft, and I'm going to do very light outline. I'm going to allow my pen to skip across the page, and I'm just going to get a bit of an outline to these petals. And because this paper is cold pressed, it's got texture to it, so that texture allows or assists in the pen skipping across the top of the paper and making the lines a little bit irregular. And then I'm trying to decide if I want to do the stalks and leaves. Maybe I'm just, again, going to just do it really lightly. Alright, and then in for a penny, in for a pound, so I might as well do a bit of an outline on the vase as well. Alright, now I'm going to move to my white accents. And for that, I'm going to use a Uniball Signo white gel pen. It's got the code UM153 on the side, and I find this to be really useful for white accents. You can also use white gouache or bleed proof white or something like that. I just find these gel pens quick and easy to use for a sketch like this. You just got to make sure the nib is not clogged from your previous use. So I just get it going. And I'm just going to move around and see where I want to add some white. I'm going to add some white dots up here. Maybe I'm going to outline these stripes a bit. And then, as I said, I'm going to do these white accent points in this flower. Alright, now I'm going to do the lines in the vase. You see, I'm not getting as defined a white as I would like using this gel pen on this area. Maybe I am going to use white gouache. So I've got gouache here, which is an opaque medium, so the paint shouldn't show through. And I'm going to use it straight out of the tube, and I'm going to use my size 0 brush and put in all the white accents or lines on the vase. I really find white accents to often be quite a trial in a painting, because what works with one painting on one day then doesn't work the next day. So you've just got to wait and, well, try and see what is working for you and your painting on any particular day, and to decide how you're going to do white accents. My sketch is completely dry now, and I'm happy with that. I'm not going to add or change anything. I'm not going to do a cast shadow or anything, because then I would need to choose a side of the pot to make the shadow side, so that I could do a cast shadow. And I just wanted this to be a more whimsical sort of sketch, so I'm not going to add any additional sort of shadows or anything like that. So this is the final sketch. Thank you so much for joining me today. Please give the video a like, and I'd love to hear from you in the comments box below. Until next time, bye for now.